In this course on classical harmony, I will teach you how to analyze any classical piece you want. For example, Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy. You will be able to perceive classical music in a new way. This is helpful for the performing musician as they can memorize and understand the music more. It is also helpful for the composer as they can use this methodology as a tool for composing. In this course, we will cover the subjects of tones, tonality, intervals, triads, inversion, functional harmony, and we will work through some examples. If you want to see more videos like this, you can support me on Patreon. Let's start as simple as possible. In Western music, we have 12 distinct tones. Each are identified with a letter and an accidental. Typically, the letters used are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. But in some European systems, H is substituted for B. In this course, H will not be used. The most common and pragmatic accidentals are the sharp, flat, double sharp, and double flat. Between some tones like A and B, there is another tone, which can be written used an accidental. Between other tones like E and F, there is no intermediate tone. Given this nomenclature, every one of the 12 tones can be written. It is also possible to write a tone in multiple ways. For example, A sharp and B flat, or E sharp and F. These pairs of tones are called enharmonically equivalent, as they correspond to the same sound on the piano and other instruments. Tonality is a musical phenomena. To show this phenomena, listen to the following sequence of tones. You most likely expected the tone C, which, in a sense, would resolve the sequence. What you just heard is called the C major scale. A scale is simply a collection of tones. There are many different kinds of scales, like the pentatonic scale, blues scale, chromatic scale, whole tone scale, double harmonic scale, and so on. In this course, we will focus on the major scale and the minor scale. The tone of the scale is called the tonic and is a special tone that the ear typically will feel is more resolved. Listen to the following tones. It can be heard that the second tone is higher in pitch than the first tone. The tones differ by an interval. In the examples, the tones C and G were used, which differ by an interval called a perfect fifth. A half step is an interval of one tone, and a whole step is an interval of two tones. A scale can be described by intervals in relation to the tonic. The intervals for a major scale is a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and half step. Each interval from the tonic to another tone can then be labeled a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and octave. Since these came from the major scale, we prefix these intervals with major. The intervals for a minor scale is a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, and whole step. Repeating the previous process, we then get the intervals of the minor scale. The intervals that are the same, regardless of whether the scale is major or minor, has their prefix dropped. Some of these intervals are called perfect because of the way they sound when they are in tune. Like the pitches of tones can be changed by accidentals. The distances of intervals can be changed by augmenting them or diminishing them. Augmenting an interval makes the interval 1/2 step bigger, and diminishing an interval makes the interval 1/2 step smaller. Now we are able to write all possible intervals under the distance of the perfect octave. Notice that there are now multiple ways of writing the same interval. For example, is an augmented fifth the same distance as a minor sixths? These intervals sound the same in isolation, but have entirely different musical functions and should not be interchanged. Here is an example of an augmented fifth. Here is an example of a minor sixth. Listen to this sound. What you just heard are 3 tones simultaneously being played. This important harmony is called a triad. A triad can be thought of as stacked intervals of a third. Different quality of the thirds correspond to different triads. The first sound you heard consists of a major third and a minor third. This is a C major chord. The tone from which the intervals are built from is called the root. From the root, the intervals of a major chord is a major third and a perfect fifth. A minor chord consists of a stacked minor third and major third. The intervals from the root is a minor third and a perfect fifth. These are the 2 most common chords in classical Western music theory. Stacking a major third on a major third gives an augmented chord. This chord includes the interval of an augmented fifth. Stacking a minor third on a minor third gives a diminished chord. This chord includes the interval of a diminished fifth. These 4 triads lay the foundation of classical harmony. An important voice in classical music is the bass voice. This bass voice is the lowest voice and has strong impact on the harmony. The bass voice does not necessarily have to be a tone of the triad. The combinations of the bass note and the triads give rise to all harmonies of classical music. A triad is called inverted if the bass voice is a tone of the triad that is not the root note. An inverted triad typically functions harmonically differently from the non-inverted triad. We notate an inverted triad with writing the root note, a slash, and the triad tone the bass voice takes. Inversion is an essential part of classical harmony. Here is an example of inversion in classical music. The diatonic chords are chords whose bass voice and triad are all tones of the tonality. In C major, the diatonic chords are C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, and A minor. We can abstract away from being in a certain scale by using Roman numeral analysis. Here we write each chord as a Roman numeral based on what the scale degree of the root tone is. Commonly, capital letters correspond to major chords, and lowercase letters correspond to minor chords. Now we have the 1 chord, 2 chord, and so on. Our analysis now applies to every key. In C major, the 1 chord is a C major chord. In F sharp major, the 1 chord is F sharp major. In F minor, the 1 chord is F minor. Listen to this sequence of chords. You most likely expected the following resolution. Functional harmony captures this tendency of the ear. Chords are categorized as tonic, subdominant, or dominant. The tonic chord is stable. The subdominant chord is neither completely stable or completely unstable. The dominant chord is unstable and demands a resolution. Using this system of harmony, every tonal classical harmony can be analyzed.